Take the yeah!
Well, I have to say it. Gozyuger is just Dom Brothers 2.
Take the yeah!
Like, literally. You can't argue about it. I have no other words to pretty much say, or at least try to describe what I was feeling about this episode without really going to a big diatribes of words, which I'm already going to do. But like, this episode was genuinely fun, and I love how it still continues to subvert my expectation of what this show is going to be about. Like, to be honest, like, the one thing that I genuinely loved in this episode, and I really felt like that was kind of like the core, like, fun element of the episode, were the villains, like, actually having fun and semi-relatable personalities, which, to be honest, it's a good thing. Like, this show actually made me care about a grunt, which was given a name and given some sort of a backstory with, like, Cassio. I'm going to call him by his name, God rest his soul, but he, like, was given, like, oh, he's like the spear for Fire Candle, and he and Fire Candle looks like they had fun. And it's like having that introduction to him, and like the moment that he shows up was genuinely funny. It's like I at least was really excited, like, oh my god, it's Cassio. He makes really good watches and really great calculator. And actually having him be a character, have a voice, like, be really fun and funny, and then just take that character away in the funniest way possible, like literally saying goodbye to his friend Fire Candle, where you see in his cockpit there is a little picture of him and Fire Candle, was genuinely funny. Again, it's the odd thing that I see that Akito really likes to do, which is like, let's do something weird. Like, we're going to do really interesting and compelling characters, but just add like a bunch of fucking weirdos in the middle. Like, I don't know, it's really interesting because like making your villain so out there just works. I don't know why. I still see in my head just Fire Candle's reaction to his best friend dying. It was kind of sad. While like getting to see Cake and Night finally is really cool. Like, it's weird to me, but I just see King Davos and fucking Candarella, like, from Gozyuger. They're just, for me, the most Gozyuger ass looking villains ever. While also kind of like getting some glimpses to pretty much this world, or at least their faction's kind of main mecha, or at least their big mecha they're really wanting to push ahead, was really cool. Like, genuinely kind of like giving it some sort of like an interesting thing with him kind of like opening his eyes. Again, would be interesting if he would also have a personality like the Tega Sword, which, to be honest, like, I didn't like that the Tega Sword didn't really interact as much with the rest of the cast, but that's like the only really big nitpicks that I have with this episode. If I would continue with the villains, I fucking love like the idea of the way that the monsters of the week might be. I'm not sure if it's going to be like that every episode, with the monster of the week just kind of like capturing a human. It's kind of like how Real Soldier had fins, and it's kind of like the armor. They're real kind of like monsters, but they take kind of almost like a form of an armor. So like the armor kind of chooses who to capture, kind of relating to the actual person and to what they are. So he captured the landlord lady, and she's about, oh, give me my money, where's my rent money? So it's like the monster was the #1 treasure hunter. Nah? Like, having him not only have a genuinely fun personality, but like like say to pretty much the rest of the Gozyugers, at least our first three, saying okay, let's like have them pretty much not really fight as much in the beginning of the episode and have them pretty much agree on a treasure hunt is funny. I don't know why. Like, that was genuinely fun. It's another interesting thing to do that I truly believe, I hope at least, would not actually get scrapped. Like, I want the weird fillery villains. Give it to me, like, I'm fine with it. While, to be honest, like, the main focus of the episode are our two main Gozyugers. At least two new ones that we got introduced to. Let's start with pretty much, I think, everybody's favorite, and that is Ryugi, which I already fucking love, mainly because like his entrance was genuinely funny. Like carrying like a grand piano, like in one hand. Like, oh, that's easy. That's a grand piano. Like fucking drop it down and start fucking playing and singing about the Tega sword. Genuinely, like he's an interesting character, him being a fucking weird nutcase about the Tega sword is like, oh my god, he's my god. It's like, oh, when did you learn about the Tega sword? And he's like, is it an actual religion? Are you the only man in that religion there, son? I don't know, something about his character being like so out there, like he's a caricature. He's a caricature of the religious nutcase. Like, the idea that he's also so strong is weird. Like, I am interested if, like, all of the Gozyugers have some sort of weird, like, out-of-suit abilities. Because, like, let's not forget, Tano ran really fast in the first episode. Just saying. Maybe Super Sentai is bringing in out-of-suit powers in this entire situation. But he's like, genuinely like a really funny character. Like the idea that he gets to like pilot the Tega sword is really fun. Like I wish he would have maybe geeked out a little bit more, like be a little bit weird. But to be honest, I think maybe it would have been slightly too in. And Riku is also like a really interesting character, from him being an ex-idol, that something happened to him. Like we don't really know what really happened to him, which is interesting that like it is kind of kept under wraps. And I just love that his personality is like, I'm an ex-idol, look at me, I'm hot shit. And like Tano's like, who the fuck are you? But he's really interesting. Again, he's both he and Ryugi are kind of stereotypes of the yellow and blue ranger. Yellow rangers most of the time are kind of like the bronze, but here you kind of add this interesting kind of caricature of like, okay, he's not in bronze, but he is smarter than what people expect him to be. Riku is smart, like basically like a lot of blues can be from time to time, or are the cool guys. It's kind of like one or the other, but here it's kind of like taking both of them to the extreme. Not only is he cool, but also he's also really smart, with him pretty much trying to scam his fans when pretty much the treasure hunt kind of started, which is interesting, which at first seems to be kind of weird because like, oh, most of the time Sentai and Rangers, the way they are kind of get chosen because they're good. And they're like morally good and there is nothing corruptible in them. And now having pretty much a ranger that would outright scam his fans is like, okay, wait, that's not really how Sentai, Power Rangers, any Toku media really works, because most of the time, like, you know, Toku heroes are supposed to be kind of like, at least to a degree, perfect. But having him pretty much, he and Ryugi return all of the stuff that they stole, quote unquote, was at least like, okay, a good gesture. I am interested to kind of understand, okay, what got him ejected? What got him evicted from the group that he was a part of? How much this kind of like trying to scheme out of the fans that he has would come back, and how much of it is going to be. Again, it's going to be interesting if they're ever going to really talk about it. It's an Inoue story. Like, I don't expect it to be really big because, again, like, you can clearly see her dad's fucking, like, writing style of writing absurd characters, but it works for her because she kind of writes them in a different way. But I really am going to be interested if they're actually going to touch on, hey, why he got pretty much fired from the group that he was on. Was it because he was doing shit with the fans, pretty much telling them, hey, I have cancer, can you send me money? Is he doing the Super One thing and he would just disappear out of the face of the earth? We don't know. While I am really loving Tano as a protagonist is, I'm sorry, not as really a protagonist, but he is the protagonist. Pretty much the Red Senshi / the Red Ranger would always be the protagonist of the show, but as the lead of the team is really interesting. Again, Lone Wolf. It's a thing that like Sentai kind of does a lot with some Red Rangers. Again, like Takeru is the first one that I really think about that's kind of like a loner, and that is kind of like him not wanting to attach himself to the other Shinkangers is really interesting, but he as a character works because you can see how much he's a good person, and you can see this is his brash kind of like outwards appearance and the way he wants to present himself is very much kind of like, oh, I'm a tough guy, and you can clearly see he puts on this appearance for everybody else, in exception to like the son of the landlord lady, which I love. Like, I love that they actually got a conversation, and it's like we get to see Tano like not only kind of pretty much shake off a bully that was bullying the kid, but also they actually get to have a conversation about being number one and wanting to be something bigger. Again, it's just brilliant that they're using him, like the kid, as kind of a key element to kind of showing us how much Tano really doesn't show fully who he is and what he's really about. Because even when he talks to the landlord lady, he's like, oh, I'm a tough guy. He next to the kid, Tano next to the kid, is like, oh no, like I won't open up to you because I actually trust you. It's really interesting that he trusts the kid, but also it's like, I wouldn't trust the landlord lady. Like, she could have genuinely given him the job and he would just work for his rent, and also giving the fucking place to Yugi and Riku. Like, why? She's genuinely like a fucking idiot, straight up. And to pretty much end up on kind of the beginning of the episode, I was actually quite surprised that not Taya, I would need to learn his name because I was actually surprised that they actually barely had a real fight, and Riku just shot them and they kind of finished off the fight, and just Nataya left. That's it. Like, that's really interesting. So that means that maybe, just maybe, Nataya would come back and I would need to learn his name. To be honest, I'm kind of excited because now with next week's episode kind of showing us that, oh, we're going to have Dom Momotaro, but it's not going to be someone from the Dom Brothers cast. That means literally like any person that maybe played a hero could come into the season and just play like a regular character. Not really a hero because Trigger was never a bad guy, but still, that's like really interesting. I am still on the get-go to bring in Banzai's actor to play Abare Red. Just saying, I think it would work. Overall, look, I'm genuinely am happy about the way the Gozyuger kind of works with its really interesting story. But yeah, like, I hope, because here's the thing, Gav and the way it tells its story, it's kind of like slightly darker, it goes more mature, kind of like Hibiki does, and you can feel the like higher up notes kind of like stealing bits from the show and what the show kind of tries to do, and it does it well, but you feel it. Gozyuger is odd enough that like even like weird higher up notes could probably work. I don't know. The Akiko Inoue would just kind of like swift them by and kind of make them weirder. But I don't really see like Toei would actually mess it up for now. Again, Gav right now is kind of on a weird come down in my opinion for a little bit. Again, they have like, I think this week's episode was their biggest dud yet, to be honest. They had at least one of their biggest dud yet with a character. But like now, I'm kind of concerned maybe about like the way Toei is dealing with things still. I still believe that like let the creators be creators for a longer time and not wait until the parents tell you, oh shucks, this is bad. I don't know. But yeah, overall this was a fantastic episode. This is another ace for Gozyuger. So, what you thought about Gozyuger episode number 2? Comment below, let me know. If you liked the video, please press that like button. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, help your subscribe button achieve its true goal of becoming a subscribed button by smashing that subscribe button. Don't forget, you're the only one that can prevent forest fires. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.